Welcome to From Dorms to Desks, job hunting tips for those early in their careers, a podcast brought to you by College Recruiter job search site, which believes that every student and recent grad deserves a great career, and hosted by Work Defined. Join our AI co-hosts as they dive into tips, tricks, and insights that will help you land your next part-time, seasonal, internship, or entry-level job. Let's get your career started.
You just signed an offer letter for your dream job. It's paying like $50,000 a year.
Oh, the best feeling. Total excitement.
Right. The ink is barely dry. You haven't even attended your first orientation session yet.
You're just celebrating at that point.
Exactly. But here's the wild part. Your new employer has already deducted roughly $8,000 from your salary.
Just poof. Gone.
Gone. And you'll never see this deduction on your pay stub. HR is absolutely never going to mention it during onboarding.
No, definitely not.
And unless you know exactly what to look for, you're just going to spend the next 12 months wondering why your bank account feels, so inexplicably tight.
Yeah, you just feel broke all the time.
Right. So today we are doing a deep dive into the invisible pay cut.
Which is really the single largest unacknowledged financial drain in the modern workplace.
Oh.
I mean, it fundamentally alters an early career professional's path to financial independence.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have some incredibly fascinating research today.
We do. It's brilliant stuff.
Yeah, this comes from an April 2026 article in College Recruiter. It's written by career expert Jasmine Escalera via My Perfect Resume.
Really comprehensive data in there.
Oh, absolutely. But what makes this specific angle so compelling is the context, right?
Yeah.
Because this research sits on the very same platform as resources for massive corporate entities.
Right, like the high-volume hiring podcast and things like that.
Exactly. So we aren't just looking at this from the perspective of a stressed-out new graduate trying to make rent.
Though we totally validate that stress.
For sure. But we're also looking at this as a massive two-way economic friction point.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
If you're stepping into the job market, you need to know how to navigate this. And if you're a corporate recruiter, say you're trying to hire 100 entry-level analysts this quarter, you really need to understand why your top candidates are quietly ghosting you.
Right, because those candidates, they are doing the math, even if the employers aren't.
Wait, so what math are they doing?
Well, it reveals this profound shift in the psychological contract between employers and employees.
Mm-hmm.
Historically, the contract was super simple.
Work, you get paid.
Exactly. You give us your labor, we give you capital.
Hmm.
But over the last few years, the currency of that exchange has it's fundamentally mutated.
Mutated how?
We aren't just trading labor for capital anymore. We are trading time. And time has become a hyperinflated asset.
Okay, I have to push back on that a little bit.
Go for it.
Hasn't a job always been a trade of time for money? Like my grandfather went to an office, my parents went to an office.
Absolutely.
The idea that a job takes up your time isn't exactly breaking news. So why is there suddenly this massive friction point around the fact that an office job requires you to, go to an office?
It's an excellent question. And it comes down to this concept of baseline calibration.
Baseline calibration, okay.
Yeah, so yes, your grandfather went to an office, but your grandfather's baseline expectation of work was formed in an era of, geographical lock-in.
Right, work was a place you went to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But look at the cohort entering the workforce right now. The mid-2020s graduates, their baseline calibration is entirely different.
Because of the pandemic?
Partially, yeah. Their formative academic years, their initial internships, early networking, all of it happened in a decentralized, digital-first environment.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's true.
For them, work is not a place you go. Work is a thing you do.
Okay, so their baseline shifted. They learned to operate autonomously right from the start.
Completely.
They managed their own schedules between classes, gig work, remote internships. Everything was fluid.
Exactly. They developed a highly autonomous operating system. They figured out how to integrate deep work with their personal well-being,
Right.
largely because those geographical constraints just didn't exist.
Right.
So when a company suddenly enforces a rigid mandatory return-to-office policy, it isn't just experienced as logistical annoyance.
What does it feel like then?
It's experienced as an aggressive rollback of agency. What's fascinating here is how it creates this massive culture clash. You have a generation whose professional identity is rooted in autonomy, slamming into corporate structures that are aggressively reverting to a 2019 playbook.
It's like, okay, imagine being given a company car.
Right.
Okay, I like where this is going. You're given this company car, total freedom, and you drive it around for 4 years, and then suddenly the company says, hey, great job, keep driving the car, but now you have to pay for your own gas and insurance.
That is a brilliant way to put it.
Like, you were told you had total freedom, and now there's this hidden toll booth on your career path. It feels like a total bait and switch for new grads.
It absolutely does. If you hand someone a high-speed internet connection and say, work from anywhere, just get results, and they do that successfully for 4 years.
Pulling them back to a cubicle doesn't feel like a return to normal.
Not at all. It feels like a demotion in trust.
Demotion in trust. Wow. That is powerful.
And this is exactly why employers in the high-volume hiring space are just struggling so deeply right now.
Because they don't get it.
They're using compensation models designed for 2019 to solve 2026 retention problems. They assume a competitive base salary is enough to override the loss of autonomy.
But it's not.
No. And when you strip away the emotional frustration of losing that remote flexibility, what you're left with is a cold, hard financial reality, a reality that actively damages the employee's bottom line.
The invisible pay cut.
Exactly. The loss of autonomy has a literal price tag.
Which brings us to the actual math. And I gotta say, the data in this report is staggering.
It really is.
According to the College Recruiter article, the average U.S. worker spends 223 hours per year commuting.
223 hours.
Okay.
Let's just sit with that for a second.
It's just a huge number.
Mechanically, if you divide that by a standard 40-hour work week, you are looking at nearly 6 full weeks of unpaid labor.
6 weeks? That's a month and a half.
Vanished. Just sitting in transit.
Okay, but wait, I have to play devil's advocate again here.
Bring it on.
Time isn't strictly money if you wouldn't have been earning anyway, right? Like, if I'm sitting in my car for an hour on a Tuesday morning, it's not like I would have been billing a client for that hour if I was at home.
That's the common counterargument, sure.
Right. I probably would have just been sleeping or watching TV or making a smoothie. So is it entirely fair to classify commuting time as a direct financial loss?
It is absolutely fair, especially when you apply the economic principle of opportunity cost.
Okay, break that down for me.
And you have to combine it with the physical reality of what we call the inflationary drag on your lifestyle. But first, let's address the time value itself.
Okay.
The My Perfect Resume report takes the national average hourly wage, which at the time of the study was roughly $36.53.
Right, $36.53.
And it multiplies that by those 223 hours. That gives us the $8,158 figure.
The $8,000 vanish.
Exactly. Now, you might argue you wouldn't be earning that $36 an hour while you're at home in your pajamas. But the employer is monopolizing that time.
They are.
You are required to be in a specific geographical transit corridor solely for their operational benefit. That is an uncompensated mandate.
You're operating a heavy piece of machinery in high-stress traffic purely to satisfy the employer's geographical requirement.
Exactly. And you aren't getting paid a dime for it.
Okay, so that's the time value. But what was that other thing you mentioned? Inflationary drag.
Yes. Let's look at the actual cash leaving your wallet. Because commuting is not a neutral state.
No, it definitely costs money to move around.
When you commute, you are triggering a cascade of secondary and tertiary expenses that you simply do not incur at home.
Like gas and tolls.
Right. It's not just the price of gasoline or a train ticket. It's the accelerated depreciation of your vehicle. It's the increased insurance premiums for commuting miles.
Oh, I didn't even think about the insurance miles.
Yeah, it adds up. And crucially, it forces you into the convenience economy.
The convenience economy. Okay, you mean like buying coffee out instead of making it, or grabbing lunch because you didn't have time to meal prep?
Yes, but it goes even deeper than that. When your temporal bandwidth is compressed by 2 hours a day, your reliance on outsourced labor skyrockets.
Meaning you pay people to do things you used to do yourself.
Exactly. You buy the pre-chopped vegetables at the grocery store for a 40% markup because you get home at 6:30 exhausted.
Oh man, the pre-chopped onions, they get me every time.
Right. You pay for premium dry cleaning. You purchase a separate, highly specific wardrobe.
Ugh, the return of hard pants.
The hard pants. Professional attire that serves absolutely no functional purpose in your private life.
I am never wearing a blazer on a Saturday.
Never. But it requires constant maintenance and replacement just to keep up appearances at work.
It's the required uniform of the corporate world. You're sinking capital into blazers and dress shoes just to gain entry to the building where you earn your money. It really is an inflationary drag. It's like your salary is a leaky bucket and the commute just kicks 5 new holes in the bottom. And think about a sad $15 desk salad compared to just making a sandwich in your own kitchen.
It's a huge difference. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this brings us to a critical realization about corporate structures.
Which is?
Because the paycheck doesn't technically shrink, the cost remains entirely invisible to the employer's accounting department.
Oh, wow. Yeah. You never see a line item on your pay stub for time stuck in traffic.
Exactly. You don't get a deduction line that says wear and tear on your sedan and a forced $15 lunch.
But if we did, we'd be demanding a raise immediately.
Without a doubt. If employees were handed an invoice for $650 at the end of every single month for the privilege of coming to the office, there would be absolute riots in the HR department.
Total chaos.
But because it bleeds out in $5 and $10 increments at the gas pump and the deli counter, it just goes unchallenged.
That is so true. Okay, so I understand how this $8,000 drain is annoying for the average worker. It hurts everyone.
It does.
But let's look at the specific demographic, the source material targets. New graduates. The research points out that this hits early career professionals the hardest.
Disproportionately hard.
But structurally speaking, an hour commute is an hour commute, right? Whether you are the senior vice president of marketing or the junior data entry clerk, the time loss is identical.
Mathematically, yes.
So why is this framed as a specific crisis for the entry-level workforce?
Because of the economic mechanism of personal operating margins.
Okay, talk to me about operating margins.
You're correct that the time is mathematically identical, but the financial impact acts as a highly regressive tax.
Like a flat entry fee to a theme park. It hurts the person with $10 in their pocket way more than the person with $100.
Exactly. A regressive tax takes a larger percentage of income from low-income earners than from high-income earners.
Okay, walk me through how personal operating margins work in this specific corporate context.
Let's build a financial profile. Imagine a senior VP making $180,000 a year.
Okay, nice gig.
Very nice.
Yeah.
After taxes, retirement contributions, housing, and life expenses, let's say they have a discretionary monthly margin of $3,000.
So $3,000 of pure fun money or savings at the end of the month.
Right. If their commute costs them $400 a month in gas, tolls, and lunches, it's an annoyance.
Sure, they don't love it.
But it reduces their surplus. It doesn't threaten their solvency. Now, look at the new graduate.
But the person who just signed that $50,000 offer letter.
Exactly. Or even $45,000. They have student loans that have just entered repayment. They're facing historically high rent prices for entry-level apartments.
The rent right now is just unbelievable.
It is. So after their basic survival expenses, their discretionary monthly margin might only be $150 or $200.
Oh, wow. I see where this is going.
Yeah. So if their margin is only $200 and the invisible costs of the commute, the transit pass, the required wardrobe, the convenience economy, if all that totals $350 a month.
They aren't just losing their surplus. They are operating in an active monthly deficit.
Precisely. They are going into debt simply to subsidize their ability to show up to their job.
Wow. Wait, really? Just to show up?
Yes. This is the massive blind spot in high-volume hiring. An employer hires 50 new reps at a firm, non-negotiable $45,000 salary.
Right, standard entry-level package.
They mandate 5 days in the office.
Okay.
And then the employer acts completely shocked when attrition hits 40% by month 6.
And the employer probably assumes the reps are just uncommitted or lack resilience or don't want to work.
Exactly. But the reality is a mathematical failure. The employees literally cannot afford to keep the job. The personal operating margin is negative.
That completely reframes the narrative. It isn't about new grads not wanting to work hard. It's that the architecture of the entry-level job requires a capital investment they simply do not possess.
Bingo.
So how can employers possibly expect grads to thrive under this pressure without burning out?
Mathematically, they can't. And this is before we even touch on what the article calls the most insidious cost of all.
The momentum killer.
The momentum killer. Because the invisible pay cut doesn't just drain your current bank account. It actively suppresses your future earning potential.
Right, because of the time loss.
Yes. The compounding effect of lost time is devastating in the first 5 years of a career. Time, for a young professional, is a high-yield asset.
Mm-hmm.
How you invest your hours outside of your core job description directly dictates your trajectory.
But wait, can't you just multitask?
What do you mean?
If you're on a train for an hour, can't you just read industry reports? Or if you're driving, listen to educational deep dives, like this one.
Sure, you can.
So you aren't necessarily losing that time, you just have to optimize it.
Right.
Hey everybody, Tim Sackett, host of HR Famous, a new podcast on the Work Defined Network. Am I famous? No, I'm HR famous. My wife says I'm a micro celebrity and 13 HR ladies around the world want their picture with me, which I think is funny. So, hey, what do we talk about on the pod? We talk about all the dumb stuff we do in HR in any given day, week, month, and we have fun with it, and we have some great guests. Come check us out. We're not famous. We're HR famous.
Optimization of transit time is a survival tactic, but it is deeply inferior to unencumbered time. We have to differentiate between passive consumption and active creation.
Passive versus active.
Yes, you can listen to an audiobook on leadership while gripping a steering wheel in gridlock.
Yeah.
But you cannot learn to write Python code while driving.
Definitely don't try to code while driving.
Please don't. You cannot attend a localized in-person industry networking event if you're stuck on a commuter rail for 90 minutes every evening.
Right.
You cannot build a freelance portfolio or a secondary income stream if your cognitive energy is entirely depleted by the physical stress of transit.
Oh, the exhaustion factor. So it's basically a structural inequity.
Exactly.
The person who lives a 10-minute walk from the office, perhaps because they have generational wealth, or a higher salary that allows them to afford downtown rent, they get home at 5:15.
Fresh and ready to go.
Right. They have the cognitive bandwidth to spend 2 hours studying for a specialized certification. But the person with the hour-and-a-half commute gets home at 7 p.m., just emotionally and physically drained.
And over a one-year horizon, maybe the difference isn't huge.
But over a 5-year horizon, the compounding returns on the first person's skill development will launch them into a completely different compensation tier.
Exactly. The time deficit creates a skill deficit, which ultimately cements a permanent wage deficit. This raises an important question. Are we creating a system where only those who don't need to commute have the time to actually advance their careers?
Man, that is bleak. The invisible pay cut is effectively a tax on your future self.
It really is.
Okay, so what does this all mean? This sounds incredibly heavy, but our mission today is to keep things positive and be deeply strategic.
Right. We need a game plan.
We are not just going to admire the problem. The source material outlines a very specific, aggressive roadmap to navigate this. So let's pivot to the solutions.
Let's do it.
If you are listening right now and you're looking for a new job or maybe evaluating an offer, how do you actually fight back against this invisible math?
The fundamental pivot is behavioral. You must transition from being a salary taker to a total compensation negotiator.
A salary taker.
Right. Most early career professionals focus entirely on the base salary number. They see $50,000, they mentally accept or reject it, and the negotiation just ends.
Right, you either take it or leave it.
But the base salary is just one lever in a highly complex financial machine.
Jasmine Esclera's research suggests asking very specific questions during the offer stage, right?
Yes. You don't just ask about the standard health insurance. You have to ask, are commuter stipends available?
Okay, what else?
Is parking completely subsidized? Are there flexible start times to allow me to commute off-peak and save an hour of traffic? What is the actual codified potential for hybrid flexibility?
Oh, that's smart. So by asking these questions, you force the employer to acknowledge the invisible costs out loud.
Yes. But strategically, it does something even more important. It opens up alternate budget lines within the corporate structure that are much easier for a hiring manager to access than base payroll.
Wait, explain that. Why is a stipend easier to get than just asking for a higher salary?
It sounds counterintuitive, right?
Yeah. If I ask for a $150 a month transit pass, isn't that the exact same thing to the company as asking for an $1,800 raise? Money is money.
Actually, in corporate finance, money is not just money.
Really?
Yeah, it is categorized into entirely different operational buckets. Base salaries come out of the payroll budget, which is fiercely guarded.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Bumping a base salary often requires approval from a compensation committee. It affects pay equity algorithms across the entire department. And it permanently increases the company's long-term liabilities.
Because if they give me a raise, my future bonuses, my 401k match, everything scales up permanently based on that new base number.
Precisely. It's a permanent burden on the ledger. But a commuter stipend, or covering a parking pass,
where does that come from?
That often comes out of a localized operational expense budget or a fringe benefits budget. A hiring manager might have zero authority to give you a $2,000 bump in base salary. HR will just automatically reject it.
Right.
But that same manager might have complete discretionary authority to approve a $200 monthly transit stipend. Or they can agree to a schedule where you work 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. to avoid rush hour, which costs the company absolutely nothing.
That is a massive insight. By asking for the stipend, you're giving the manager a backdoor to increase your total compensation without triggering the HR alarm.
Exactly. You make it easy for them to say yes.
And for the employers listening, especially the high-volume hiring teams, this is your ultimate competitive advantage.
Oh, completely.
If you're trying to hire 100 people and you can't afford to raise your base salary above the market average, you can win the talent war by aggressively marketing your subsidized transit, your free parking, and your flexible hours.
It is the single most cost-effective way to acquire talent in a high-inflation environment. You neutralize their invisible pay cut,
which immediately makes your offer functionally superior to a competitor offering a slightly higher base but requiring a grueling, unfunded commute.
Exactly. You win on total lifestyle value.
Okay, so that is a genius strategy at the offer stage. Negotiate the fringe budgets. But what if you're already deeply entrenched in the job?
Right. The reality for a lot of people.
Say you took the role a year ago, you didn't know to ask for a stipend, and now a strict return-to-office mandate has been handed down.
It happens every day.
You are feeling the intense squeeze of this invisible pay cut every single week. Paying $20 a day just to park your car so you can go inside and earn money. It's agony.
It really is.
How do you leverage your way out of this once you're already in?
The College Recruiter article provides a roadmap for this exact scenario, too. And it hinges on the concept of making your impact aggressively visible.
Aggressively visible.
Yes. When your required input, meaning your time and your commute, expands without an increase in your compensation, your only defense is to increase your overall market value. And you have to ensure your leadership cannot ignore it.
The article breaks this down into tracking measurable outcomes, documenting performance feedback, and clarifying promotion benchmarks. Basically, building a business case for yourself.
That's right.
But I have to ask, how do you do this without being completely insufferable?
That's tricky.
Nobody wants to work with the person who sends a team-wide email every time they successfully format an Excel spreadsheet. It feels so arrogant to constantly brag about doing your basic duties.
This is a very common psychological hurdle, especially for new graduates. They operate under what we can call the academic illusion.
The academic illusion. Okay, what is that?
In a university setting, if you put your head down, do the assigned reading, and write a great paper, the system, the professor, automatically observes your effort and rewards you with an A.
Right. You do the work, you get the grade.
The observation is built into the architecture of the institution. But the corporate world has no such architecture.
Oh, that's so true. Your manager's probably drowning in their own deliverables. They aren't sitting around cataloging your daily triumphs.
Exactly. And this brings us to a phenomenon kind of like the observer effect in physics. The idea that the mere observation of a phenomenon inevitably changes it. In the corporate ecosystem, unobserved good work has zero bureaucratic mass.
Zero bureaucratic mass. I love that phrase.
It does not exist on the ledger. You can work 60 hours a week, save the company thousands of dollars in efficiencies, and perfectly execute your role.
But if nobody knows?
Right. If those metrics are not meticulously documented and placed in front of the people who control the capital, your work has no weight. It cannot be used to justify a raise.
So it's not about ego. It's about data collection. I've heard this referred to as keeping a receipts drawer.
The receipts drawer is the perfect mechanical solution. You are not bragging. You are performing basic accounting on your own career.
You literally just create a private folder in your inbox. And every time a client sends an email saying, "Thank you, this saved us so much time," you drag it to the folder.
Yeah, every single time.
Every time you optimize a process, you write down exactly how many hours it saved the team per week, and you drop the note in the folder. You are just collecting the raw materials.
Yes. And the reason this is so vital connects right back to those corporate budgeting mechanisms we discussed earlier.
Right, the payroll budgets.
When performance review season arrives, you do not walk in and say, "I need a raise because my commute is expensive and inflation is high."
Because they don't care.
The business does not care about your personal liabilities. That is an emotional argument. Instead, you deploy your receipts.
So what do you say instead?
You say, "Over the last 3 quarters, my process optimizations saved the department 40 operational hours per month. I managed Project X, which came in 15% under budget. Here is documented feedback from 3 cross-functional stakeholders verifying the impact.
Wow. And think about how incredibly relieved your manager is going to be when you do that.
Oh, they'll love you for it.
Because we established that managers don't just hand out raises, they have to go to battle for you against the compensation committee.
Exactly.
If you just whine and ask for more money, you're asking your manager to do hours of investigative work to prove you deserve it. But if you hand them a perfectly organized, quantified list of your exact value,
You are handing them the loaded weapon they need to fight the HR algorithms. You make it exceptionally easy for them to advocate for you.
by making your value visible and quantified, you completely shift the corporate narrative. You transition from being viewed as an operational expense, which companies always want to minimize, to a revenue-generating asset.
And companies will aggressively invest in assets they want to retain.
Okay, so that is the internal strategy. You document your wins, you arm your manager, you build the business case. But the deep dive doesn't end there, does it?
It does not.
The article concludes with an external strategy that honestly might be the most important piece of advice for a young professional trying to outpace this invisible pay cut.
The final critical directive is that salary growth must be treated as a continuous strategic priority, equal in importance to your daily job duties.
And how do you do that?
It requires normalizing pay transparency and aggressively benchmarking your compensation against the broader market.
And this requires breaking one of the oldest, most deeply ingrained taboos in corporate culture. The idea that discussing salary with your peers is somehow rude or unprofessional.
It's such a persistent myth.
Where did that taboo even come from? Why are we all so afraid to talk about what we make?
The taboo is a masterpiece of corporate social engineering. For generations, keeping compensation opaque was branded as professionalism or etiquette.
Right, it's just not polite.
But economically speaking, it is simply a tactic to maintain information asymmetry.
Information asymmetry.
In any negotiation, the party with the most information has the leverage. If an employer knows exactly what everyone in the market is making, but you only know your own salary, the employer holds all the cards.
It allows them to systematically underpay people who just don't know any better. Secrecy only ever benefits the entity writing the checks.
Exactly. When you keep salaries secret, wage gaps flourish. Inequities based on gender, race, or just simple negotiation hesitance, they become permanently baked into the payroll.
Wow.
But by actively engaging in conversations about compensation, by talking to industry peers, connecting with recruiters, and reviewing aggregate salary databases, you destroy that information asymmetry. You arm yourself with market reality.
This is so crucial because if the market rate for a junior analyst jumps 12% in a year due to inflation and demand, and you don't know that, you will happily accept a standard 3% annual raise.
And you think you got a good deal.
Right. You'll think you're doing well, while mathematically you are taking a massive pay cut in real purchasing power. You have to actively research.
You really do.
You have to take a trusted colleague in your industry out for coffee and ask the uncomfortable questions. Say, look, I am trying to benchmark my career progression. I'm currently at $55,000. Is that consistent with what you're seeing in the market for this level of responsibility?
And when you combine that external market data with your internal receipts drawer, you become an incredibly formidable negotiator.
You really do.
You no longer approach your career as a passenger just hoping the company will take care of you. You approach it as the CEO of your own labor. You dictate the terms of your value.
I love that so much. The CEO of your own labor. And that is the exact empowered, positive mindset we want you to walk away with today.
It really changes everything.
It's incredibly easy to read the math on the invisible pay cut. The $8,000 lost, the 223 hours vanished, and just feel bitter.
Oh, absolutely.
It is so easy to grip the steering wheel in rush hour traffic and feel like the whole system is just rigged against you. But resentment is not a strategy.
No, it's not.
Being deeply informed, highly strategic, and relentlessly proactive. That is a strategy.
And the source material makes one final, profound assertion on this. As the future of work continues to mutate, compensation can no longer be defined solely by the numbers on a pay stub. Compensation is, fundamentally, how your time is valued by the marketplace.
Compensation is how your time is valued. So let's recap exactly how you are going to ensure your time is valued at an absolute premium.
Let's do a quick rundown.
We started by diagnosing the disease. the 6 unpaid weeks of commuting, the inflationary drag of the convenience economy, and the regressive tax this places on the thin margins of entry-level professional.
And we looked at how this time deficit acts as a massive momentum killer, robbing you of the compounding interest of early career skill development.
But then we engineered the cure. We detailed how to shift from being a salary taker to a total compensation negotiator by attacking those fringe budgets, asking for the stipends, the parking, the flexible hours.
We outlined the mechanics of the receipts drawer, treating your daily wins not as bragging, but as bureaucratic ammunition for your manager to deploy against the compensation committee.
And finally, we established the absolute necessity of breaking the taboo of salary secrecy, destroying information asymmetry, and treating your market value as a continuous research project.
Knowledge is entirely useless until it is applied. So my challenge to you today is operational.
What's the challenge?
Do not let this just be an interesting concept you listen to on your commute. Open a document on your desktop today and log your first receipt. Reach out to one peer this week and ask a benchmarking question. Force your value into the light.
Force your value into the light. I love that. We talked heavily today about how your time is valued in the current, slightly messy transition back to the office. But as we look ahead, demographic shifts are going to make highly capable, adaptable young talent increasingly scarce.
It's going to be a completely different landscape.
So I want you to imagine a near future scenario where companies don't just compete on your base salary. Imagine a world where corporate leverage entirely flips and employers actively bid on how little of your personal time they require to get the job done.
That would be wild.
Right. What if the ultimate luxury corporate perk of 2030 isn't a corner office with a mahogany desk, but a fully subsidized, chauffeured mobile workspace where your paid hours, your deep work, and your professional momentum begin the exact second you step inside?
I could definitely get used to that.
The landscape is shifting fast. Until that future arrives, keep building your business case, keep asking the bold questions, and keep your career momentum moving relentlessly forward. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep learning, and we will catch you next time.
This has been From Dorms to Desks, job hunting tips for those early in their careers, a podcast brought to you by College Recruiter job search site, which believes that every student and recent grad deserves a great career. Each episode, we dive into tips, tricks, and insights that will help you land your next part-time, seasonal, internship, or entry-level job. Subscribe to this podcast for free now, so you don't miss an episode, and visit www.collegerecruiter.com to find your next great job.